All right, welcome, and welcome back, Kristin Scanlon, uh, former guest or previous guest, and I am happy to have you back. And you have, before we get into anything, have some incredible life experiences just happening to you. We're a touch late if you were following along with the links, but we'll blame the time change and everything else. You had hours and hours of jet lag to get over just to get here, just to get back to this show. I know you were longing to get back here from your adventures, but why don't you give us a minute on what you've just done?
So it was quite the journey and a once in a lifetime experience. I had just gotten back from Antarctica on
Yeah.
Saturday morning, and I got to check two continents off my bucket list. So I stopped in Buenos Aires in Argentina in South America. And then we got on a ship and voyaged through Drake's Passage, which was quite the rough experience. But going there, it was Drake Lake. Coming home, we had Drake Shake.
Mhm.
So it was 3 long days on the boat to get home, and then it was over 24 hours getting back here to New
Wow.
York. So it was a long journey, but it was well worth it. The penguins were absolutely incredible.
Yes, yes. I saw you had some. I'm a huge fan and follower of all your socials, and I saw you posted some up and close with the penguins.
Yeah,
That must have been really wild.
my nephew wanted me to bring one home. He asked me to take
Of
an extra
course.
suitcase with some ice packs in it so he could have an igloo in his backyard.
Yeah, exactly. Um, well, then, since we're on the internet, did you see the wall or anything else like that down there? Because it's flat Earth and it's supposed to end at Antarctica. Anything, any evidence like that?
No, I mean,
No.
I think the world it didn't seem too flat, but I mean, the ice was incredible. Like the
Yeah.
ice were like every stop and every day was a complete different weather, complete different experience.
Yeah.
And they said I could go back there 2 to 3, 4 more times, and I'll
Be
experience
different every time.
something different every single time. Like, it's it's crazy because the photos I've sent to family at home and I've posted, people are like, "These look like postcards. They don't look real. They look
Yeah.
fake." But, like, literally, that's what I saw. Like, there was no editing of the photos. It was pure white, pure blue. The colors, I think I saw every shade of blue possible.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, the air is so pure, so clean, but there's 0 humidity, so it's so
Hmm.
dry.
Yeah. And well, lastly, you jumped in the water, and I don't know if I could do that, but I watched that. I was like, "Ooh, that's crazy!" Because there was like icebergs like around and whatever, and they
Yeah.
did have you tied up. I was like, "Oh, that's
Well,
good."
yeah,
You
so
were like on a fishing line, and
they do that
I
for
didn't know if they were using you for bait or you wanted to do that, but it was a pretty wild shot.
Yeah, honestly, so they put everyone on, like, a harness just in
Yeah,
case because the water is extremely, extremely cold. I mean,
sure.
the day we did it, it actually started snowing, and it also was 0 degrees Celsius, but, like, without the like, with the wind chill, it was definitely below 0
Yeah,
Fahrenheit. It was pretty cold. Like, I was actually surprised I did it, because right before this trip, I tore my ACL, so I was like, I wasn't even sure if I'd make it through a lot of this journey,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I really weathered the storm. And honestly, I would do it again. I think I would jump in the cold plunge before I kayaked in Antarctica.
Oh yeah,
Again, kayaking was pretty rough, not gonna lie.
yeah. Wow. Well, that all of it looked like just an incredible adventure, and I'm sure you're going to be talking about that for years and years. Uh,
Honestly, life is an adventure, and I don't think I'd I don't think I'd be able to take these adventures if I wasn't my own boss, if I haven't created a life by design,
mhm.
if I didn't step into leaving my corporate job, going into real estate, becoming a coach to make all of this possible because it's hard when you have a 9 to 5 job when you're limited with vacation, you have to get approval for time off. Like this year alone, I had 2 huge adventures. Earlier in the year, I booked a one-way ticket to Bali and I was there for almost a month before I decided to come home. This trip was not on my bucket list. It kind of just fell in my lap and I said, "You know what? You live once." So I took
Yeah.
that opportunity. And I'm so grateful I did because I don't know when else I would say like yes to something like this. But having the right systems, tools, being intentional and purposeful with your business allow these things to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, it's perfect example to lead by example. And, if you can't coach people and say, look, you can take weeks off in Antarctica and all that kind of stuff, and it might not be on everybody's bucket list, but when you say, yeah, I'm out of here and I'm going, and you do it because you can, I mean, that's just proving it to everyone else that it can be done. And that's a very powerful statement to, use in your coaching. If you're just sitting there coaching everybody and, oh, I have to get more clients and I have to get more students, and you don't have the adventures or the success to show somebody, then, what are you trying to prove?
And
Um,
I also think it's like everything's a mindset. I'm big into having a mindset. You could be in lack or you could be in abundance, and you get to choose, right? So
mhm,
it's like, what are you waking up choosing every day? What you don't have or what you can have? And a lot of people say I'm very generous with many things, whether it's helping coaching clients out, referring business out, or, giving a percentage for showing certain things while I'm away. But
right.
I believe it's you have to give to receive. If you're always me, harness your information, feel like it's your secret sauce and you can't give it out, you're in that lack. You're in that
Mhm.
force versus power mindset. When you unlock that mindset and you get into the power versus force, like your world changes. While I was away, it's funny, I, like, made a quick reel. I said, "Go on vacation and you'll get more business." Like,
Yeah.
that's a tip to growing your business, and it's true. The minute you're about to go away, everyone's like, "Hey, I'm ready to look again. Hey, I'm ready to
Yeah.
list my house. How can" So, I really believe it's, like, just allowing stuff to come.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue for me because we're launching a little Black Friday special for Home Search TV, and I'm going to be out of town.
Nice. I love that.
so so yeah, tune in, and I'll be dialing in from Virginia just to check in and everything. So yeah, if you're watching Home Search TV on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff, we're gonna do that, and come on back on Black Friday. So with that, well, I'll start up by saying happy Thanksgiving, but now you're getting back and you're gonna finish the year strong and looking forward to 2025. I'm sure you've got plenty of coaching going on. What's the pulse of the agents you're working with the brokerage that you're at, and what are you thinking about 2025?
So there's a couple of factors and a couple of layers, right? So
Mhm.
I'm the founder of the Scanlon Home team. So
Yeah.
how I'm looking at that is actually building more resources to help me and leverage the resources to make it run more fluid, bring more business in, streamline some more stuff for it. Because I've been even though I'm ranking top on my team every year, I've been putting like the bare minimum effort into it because the last year I've been shifting into the coaching business. So
Right.
I'm looking to leverage a little bit more of that to bring a little bit more in to add more value and more opportunities to some coaching clients. So at Keller Williams Gold Coast, I'm the coach of that office, and being the coach of that office, a lot of the agents want opportunities to be able to work open houses, go to showings, do different
Mhm.
things. So that's more of a group coaching program that I run within the office. So in that, I'm looking to grow it a little bit more. I have foundations course and different tools and modules for them to go through before they get the one-on-one sessions with me. Because I think I always explain in coaching, if you don't have a solid foundation, what happens to your house? It starts crumbling
Sure.
and falling. So my opportunity for them is let's build your foundation and then we could start building the full house. Um, Outside of Keller Williams, I do have Kristin Scanlon Unlock Your Potential and Power Business Coaching, which I work one-on-one with clients. And I am going to be offering a promo for a business deep dive to do an hour and a half business planning session with me. If booked before the end of the year, this way I could help you build that solid foundation, get into tracking, become more intentional and purposeful with your business. So that's something new I'm going to be offering is like a one-on-one, just deep dive session to let's look at your business. And then if you want to more accountability, more intentionality with your business, you could work with me one-on-one monthly, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly. There's a couple of different options that I do offer and packages. So I'm excited to be rolling some of this out. And I do have some other surprises coming in 2025 that I'm not sharing yet, but be on the lookout. They will be coming, which is like a brand and a business that I've been like dreaming about. And it's a secret hint of you got to stop chasing your life. You have to start choosing your life.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. I love that. That's great. That's great. a little deeper, or if you can, just however deep you want to go, or go 30,000 feet. But as far as, and not getting political, but we know that the political landscape is going to change the markets and the economy and all that kind of stuff in certain ways. And again, in certain ways, everything's going to stay the same.
Mhm.
Um, but as far as the office outlook on the real estate market itself for 2025, we've been, we recovered from the pandemic, and now we have this market, and everybody's been worried about rates and all the other kind of stuff. What do you want to touch on? What do you see affecting the 2025 real estate market?
So I think everything is just, there's so many things that can impact it, right? If we
Mhm.
had a crystal ball, even in
Yeah. Yeah.
2020, like I think, people thought the market was going to crash. Like I have a business background, so that's
Yeah.
kind of why I got into coaching. So I was an accountant before I was a realtor. So when you look at things from a business perspective and economic of what you learn in school is what goes up, what comes down. And what we're seeing is, yes, like maybe we're on this trend of up, 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 up. When are things going to level out and come down, right? Because
Mhm.
that's the normal supply, demand, and economic system. But I also think where things are different right now is supply and demand, especially
Yeah.
in like the Long Island market. So I service Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island. When you look at the Queens market, it's a little bit different. Brooklyn, Queens, like people wanted out of the city during the pandemic and they wanted Long Island more for their money, a little bit more land.
Mhm.
You still see prices and bidding wars because it's supply versus demand. And once
Right.
interest rates do go down, the people that got X'd out because they couldn't afford things because of the interest rate are going to come off the sidelines. So I do see, because what people don't understand and the consumer doesn't understand is every 1% the interest rate changes, that's 10% of your buying power.
Right.
That's a big deal. So if you're 3% at 500, now it goes to 4%, like your affordability is 450. Like
Right.
big gap in price. So I do see in 2025, unless there's more supply coming on, there's still going to be the demand. People
Right.
still are moving. Um, I mean, I don't see this huge market crash, but other people are predicting differently, right? Because I'm not really a huge politics person. And I think a
Right.
lot of
Mhm.
people, regardless of what happens, people still have to move. People still
Yeah.
have to relocate. And life is changing for so many. And, the reasons people move, I always say it's like the 5 Ds, right? Death, diapers, desks, they're relocating,
Yeah.
divorce, or they're downsizing because the kids are out of the house. And it's just a constant cycle of these things.
Diplomas was
Oh,
the
and
other one.
diplomas. Yeah, so that's 60s actually. So
Right.
these things are inevitable.
Right. Yeah. Um, One other one, I don't know how much you follow it. I do quite a bit, but I think it's going to affect the market, because it's become quite obvious to me. But the crypto,
Mhm.
there's the blockchain, and how things are all moving online, and becoming more efficient that way. But I think just the money shift from, and not that it's going to take a lot. I mean, you have to live somewhere, but the extra funds from real estate, from gold, from stocks, moving into the crypto, which didn't exist, right, 10, 15, 12 years ago, um, is moving that way. And so much money is moving that direction, that I think it also is going to not stifle the market, but it's going to make it really tight.
Mhm.
And I think that's what's going to keep the market tight, is that, we have a lot of people that are in great rates and don't have to move, or don't want to move, because they have such a great rate and they have a good situation, because everybody moved during the pandemic because they wanted to get situated. They also got a great rate, and now they're like, well, if I got what I wanted in 2020 and I have a great rate, why do I have to move? And that's what's going to keep things really tight. And then all the extra money, I think it's chasing this crypto craze, that, money is flowing in that direction, and a lot of institutions, and then a lot of people just watching this stuff go bonkers. That might take a little bit off the top of, the flipping and stuff, which makes it go crazy. So, but I think it's going to keep it tight. I don't know if you want to speak on that at all, but I think that's one reason why we're going to have still a tight market, and not a crash, or anything like that. But
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just interesting, right? Because, I have parents that are not technological savvy,
mhm,
not into the
yeah,
stock market, not into this, right? So it's like, when you look at it from different like generations and perspectives, it's
sure,
like that's not their thing, right? So
right, right,
that, I joke, and my dad's from that old school mentality of cash is king.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
so you have that generation who this is not even a thought or a thing. And then you have the new generation where it's like anything else. It's like you have to keep up with the Joneses so that you don't get boxed out or X'd out in things. So I do think it's going to keep it very interesting, very stable, but very tight niche. Because what I am seeing is, it's really surprising, but there are a lot of cash deals moving and grooving
Yep.
around still. Like, a lot of people don't believe it, but I see it constantly, especially in the Queens market. I mean, when I had a listing in Flushing, I think I had like 10 to 12 offers, and out of the 10 to 12, like 10 were cash. And,
Yeah.
you have to like look at it, but I haven't had any crypto like offers come in
Yeah.
yet, in my experience.
Well, back whenever the last crypto craze was after 2020, 2021, everyone was all pandemicked out, but there were some deals done in crypto that people read about, and landmark, deals and all that kind of stuff. I think that that's going to happen again
Mhm.
in 2025. Those kind of things, people are going to walk in with, and one crazy meme picture that I see is that, in 2012, it took 600,000 Bitcoin to buy a house, and now you're down to 6.
Yeah.
So if you'd had one or two, or I have a friend who has had 30 for a couple of years, and he's super happy right now. But now that 4 of those will get you a house, and that's amazing return. And I think that that's what's going to change the landscape for the offers that'll be coming in. You're going to have to compete with that as well, because people have been saving up with some crypto. Um, Other than that, there's been a lot of legal changes
Mhm.
with that and the NAR situation. The deal that came out with that, the settlement from the Department of Justice. Any thoughts on that, or what you're doing with your buyers differently, or how you have to coach people, because it probably stresses people out.
Oh,
Um,
I mean, it's agents are panicking,
yeah.
agents are freaking out. I am still doing business as usual. So
Mhm.
I have always operated in, when I get a new buyer or seller client, let's hop on a Zoom or let's do a consultation. Buyers more Zoom, but sellers, it could be Zoom or in person, depending. So I've always done a buyer presentation and a consultation with my buyer clients to explain the process. One, because it's overwhelming. Two, I want to be able to be like, here's our road, here's our pathway, this is the way we're going. And number three, here's the paperwork. I want to explain to you why I have to get buyer agency disclosure signed, why I need to get fair housing disclosure signed, why I work on an agreement. So I've always worked on an agreement. Is
Right.
I want to be committed to you just as much as I want you to be committed to me. So for me, it's not really that much of a change, other than just explaining why this is all over the news and what the changes are. Now, for agents who didn't do this, right, it is scary. But one way of like looking at it is I always tell clients, whether it's a seller or a buyer, if you are about to get divorced, would you want the same attorney as your significant other? Most likely
Mhm.
the answer is no.
Right.
So why would you want the same representation on the largest purchase you'll ever make of your house, right? You have to look at things from a perspective of who has my best interest. If I'm
Mhm.
a seller agent, I'm not going to have your best interest as the buyer's agent. If I'm the buyer's agent, I'm going to look for things for you that I'm allowed to look for. I'm allowed to give you comps, allowed to like look at different things so that you are guided in making an educated decision and choice.
Right.
Well, I think for me, it's business as usual, but for coaching clients, actually at 11:30 today, I have a Zoom with my coaching clients where they all had to either bring their listing presentation or buyer presentation, and they're presenting a few of the slides in a group setting so that they could handle objections, handle this, and like get more comfortable doing it. So it's actually
Right.
a requirement for me with my group coaching for them to have this in place before even going out with clients.
Now and you're spot on about all of that, and that hasn't really changed so much. I mean, all those were best practices before, but the biggest difference is now, compensation can't be offered, and you have to negotiate that with the buyer before you set foot in a house.
Mhm.
How do you tackle, asking for that money before you even start?
So that was like so whether I was representing or seller or buyer, that was
Mhm.
like never of like, hey, this is what I
Right.
charge. It's not negotiable. Like when I work with sellers, I give them choices and options. So I have
Right.
some packages that they could look at and explain, like, here's the marketing I do, here's this I do, here's that I do. Let's come to an agreement of what you're going to pay me. It's never been like, hey, I'm charging 6%. This is what it is. What
Right.
do you want me to do for you? And that's where we come up with our price. Now, regarding a buyer, I say, hey, like, this is like how the pricing strategy usually works. This is usually, as a buyer's agent, what you would get paid. These are the things that are included in why I get paid this amount of money. And this is how we could put it into our offer. And this is how we explain it. Now, what buyers don't realize, I was just having this conversation with my sister, who's a realtor, and my dad last night at his birthday dinner. We were talking about how realtors are so underappreciated. People don't realize how much we do behind the scenes
Hmm.
to get our value. So I joke because I said, if we chose $20 per hour versus 2% of the sales price, and we actually sat there and, like an attorney,
Yeah.
ticketed every minute we spoke to you, every minute we were in the car driving to appointments, at an inspection, at an appraisal, at an open house,
Right.
we'd actually probably get more than the 2% of the sales price versus $20 an hour. Like, you'd pay a lot more money. And people, like,
Yeah.
$20 an hour isn't a lot of money. But for me, I think, it's just learning how to explain that to customers and clients, because a lot
Right.
of people don't know their value and know their worth. If you know your value and have a strong value proposition,
Hmm.
people see it. If they don't see it, then you don't have to work with them. They could choose somebody else who doesn't have a value prop.
Right. Right. And then, lastly, on that point, how do you coach people to be confident in their value and express their value? What's the best way that you coach that into someone or help them unlock that in themselves?
Yeah. So I think unlocking it is like looking at who you are as a human. What are your strengths? What are you really good at? Like, for me, I'm really good at creating customer experiences, creating a very solid roadmap to where we got to go.
Hmm.
Where everyone's strengths, market niches are going to be very different. So what I always tell to my coaching clients is, one, why don't you interview a couple of your past clients of what did they find really, really helpful that
Right.
you did for them that they wouldn't have been able to do by themselves, right? Go to the people that you've helped and see where your value was to them. Look at your reviews. What have
Mhm.
people said about you? Then take that and say, okay, what are people in my industry, when I'm going to see agents at open houses or different things, what are they not doing that I can be doing that will create a better experience? Because I've gotten buyers come to me after they worked with two, three, four agents before me, and they've told me, oh, wow, like, this is a complete different experience than I've had with the other two realtors. They weren't even sending me listings. I was sending them listings, and then they made the appointments sometimes, or they would just send me the open houses, right? You have to really make yourself stand out. Like, if I can't go to something, I'm making sure an agent who's on my team or in my program is going out with one of my clients to represent this client so that they don't feel like we're not working for our money.
Yeah. Um, Thank you for that answer. I feel like I'm stealing coaching from you right now.
So
Uh, but what's the best way? And I don't know if there's anything else you want to follow up with, but of course we want your contact information and what's the best way for people to reach out to you. Well, here, lastly, how much do you feel it's important to balance your work life and your adventures on social media and the way you portray yourself online?
I think,
Because I know there's a lot of people that have like, oh, it's all about business, and I can't tell anybody that I have a Labrador or anything.
so
So
I
it's funny.
I grew my business on social media. So
Yeah,
you know me from, like, the OG days of Kristen back when I was
yeah.
up in White Plains. I literally have always done a mix of things: business, pleasure, enjoyment, because this is the thing. I'm a believer in creating a life by design. So
Mhm.
what I do is I look at my personal expenses, my business expenses. What are my dreams? What are my goals? What are my realities? I look at that number. I look at my average cost of sales, and I look at a few different things, and I back into what do I have to do that year to obtain them. Now, I've experienced burnout. I've experienced my lowest of lows in this business. You know, 2020 to 2023, I've had my highs of highs, hitting record, selling 63 houses, to my lowest of lows where like I barely had steam in my pipe because all I did was work. So the balance of things is so important. People on social media want to see you're human, right? They
Mhm.
want that balance. Yeah, many people message me of like, oh my God, I'm never going to go to Antarctica. Thank you for sharing this experience. The people that don't want to see it, they may unfollow you, but then that's not your people. So I always say is social media should be a mix of things: family, your occupation, your recreation, your dreams, but also like your milestones and your accreditations and
Mhm.
all that stuff. So it really needs to be a mix. You can't just look at one thing versus the other. Um, I'm big on coaching on social media because that's how I grow my business. I teach a lot
Yeah.
of classes in that.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I love social media and I love watching you and following along with your adventure. I hope to get to Antarctica someday. I don't know if I'll be crazy enough to jump in the water, but
Do it.
I'll have to have a short rope like they had on you. I just want you to double check to make sure I got the right
Mhm.
contact information down there. Um,
Yes.
and everything like that. Kristin Scanlon, productivity coach. And then 646-599-5649.
Yep, that's my cell. And if anyone wants to follow me on social media, it's I am Kristin Scanlon. And anyone interested in business deep diving, I'll be offering specials. They could click and I'll send out a link on my profile for a 15-minute discovery call.
And say that one again. I am Kristin.
I am Kristin Scanlon. That is my Instagram
Oh,
profile.
Instagram.
So, yep,
Okay.
I'm there.
At Instagram. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time after getting over all the jet lag. And happy Thanksgiving to you and to everybody on your team and your sister. I know was in the business as well. Enjoy your Thanksgiving and good luck on Black Friday.
Thanks. Good luck and happy Thanksgiving. Very grateful for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.